Inexpensive upgrades on an inexpensive guitar. This week on Learning Curve. Hi, I'm Spencer. Thanks for watching Learning Curve. Now, if you watched last week, I unboxed and gave a once-over for a $79 Glarry burning style guitar. I was really impressed with what I got for the money. But this week, I'm going to use a little know-how and throw a couple of bucks at it and see what we can do as far as upgrades go. Now, I want to say before I get into this, if you're new to working on guitars or if you've never done anything to your guitar, I get it. It's a little nerve-wracking. It can be a little overwhelming and a little scary. Start simple. There's a lot of information available online. Be patient. Start with things that you can undo if you don't do them right. And I always remember, you can always just take it to a pro if you have the cash. But if you learn how to do it, you can save yourself a lot of money. You can up your skill set. You can understand your instrument better. And you can make it the way you want it. You can set up things exactly the way you want them. You don't need to rely on somebody else to tell you how it's supposed to be. You have the power once you know how to do stuff. So that's kind of awesome. Look, I am far from being an actual luthier. I don't think there's any argument about that. But in the last year or so that I've been working on guitars, I've learned so many things, and I've gotten so much better at doing all the things that I've worked on. I mean, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. This isn't magic. It just takes time and patience and effort. You can totally do this stuff. So I'm going to start with something really simple that anybody can do. There's no danger of you screwing anything up. I put a little bit of pencil graphite in the slots on the neck. Now, the reason you do this is because the graphite acts as a lubricant. When you bend the strings, it pulls the string through the nut. Same with when you use the tremolo. Now, if the nut isn't properly lubricated, the strings can get caught up in there. That throws everything out of tune. So when you tune your guitar, if your strings are high when you tune it, that means you probably have a problem with your nut. A little bit of lubricant should take care of that. There's a couple things I didn't feel the need to do. I didn't feel the need to adjust the truss rod. If you do, the truss rod is located right under that little latch there. That's why they give you a free hex wrench with your guitar, is so that you can adjust your truss rod. Again, there's plenty of videos on how to do that. If your neck seems like it's bowed a little weird, this is a whole rabbit hole for you to go down. To say the least, I didn't need to adjust the truss rod, and the frets were great. I was assuming that there would be like fret sprout at the end. When you ran your fingers over the edge of the neck, the frets would feel rough, but not on this guy. These guys felt great. So I didn't have to do either of those two things. Awesome. Happy to not have to. I did need to lower the action on this guitar, which is a little more complicated than putting pencil graphite in the nut, but still super, super easy, and you can undo it if you don't like the way you did it. Basically, there's those little there's those little hex screws on your bridge, right by where the string, there you go, right by where the string is. They also give you this little tiny hex wrench. That's for those. So what I'm going to use is a string gauge rule and a radius gauge. Now you can do this, there's a lot of other ways to do this, and some of them you don't need any tools at all. Sometimes you just go by feel, but since I have the tools, I'm going to use them. So basically, I'm lowering the action until it's about 2.5 millimeters approximately. And again, feel is more important than numbers. And then I'm going to go to the high E and I'm going to do the same thing. Then I'm going to take my radius gauge and I'm going to adjust it till all the strings are equally muted by the gauge, and that's creating kind of an arc across the neck. Now I have a really nice low action. I have a wide. This is a 14-inch radius neck, so it's pretty flat. So if I could play super fast, this would be a good neck to play super fast on. I can play fast-ish, and I'm playing a little fast-ish-er, so that's something. And this one's also very inexpensive. If you decide that you're going to use the tremolo on this a lot, and I'm not sure I'm going to, but maybe you are. You might have noticed once you get the tremolo screwed in, the arm just kind of swings in the wind like that. If you'd like it to stay where you put it, what you do, you go online. I got these off Amazon. They're called Fender Tremolo Arm Springs. Bag costs about $6. Maybe you can find it cheaper if you look. You take one of these little springs, you pop it in that hole right there, you screw your arm in, ba-dum, ba-da-ba-dee. Now it stays where you put it. Easy peasy, inexpensive, anybody can do it. If you use the tremolo a lot, it makes a huge difference. Now this next one is, I think, this is everybody's favorite mod. This is the thing that you buy cheap guitars so you can do. It's not terribly expensive, and it's not terribly complicated, but, I mean, depending upon what kind of pickups you buy, it's not terribly expensive. I bought Guitar Madness pickups because they're very affordable, and I've always been happy with the pickups I got. So what I did was, basically, I swapped out most of the electronics in the guitar. I put in a push-pull pot for the volume. I got 2 PAF-style medium output pickups for the bridge and the neck, and then I got a higher output middle pickup, so that the reason I did this was, for one thing, the humbuckers all have 4 leads now, so I can coil split them, and the medium output pickup in the middle, the single coil pickup in the middle, is a little higher output than the other one. So the volume difference in between pickups isn't quite as dramatic as it was before, and I'm capable of coil splitting the neck and the bridge now, so that it's so I have even more tones to work with. Again, not super complicated. And by the way, there's a lot that you can do with a push-pull pot, a 5-way switch, 4 leads, and 3 pickups. I'm keeping this relatively simple, but there's a million things you can do. The reason I'm keeping it simple is because I'm an okay solderer, but I'm not like a soldering genius, you know? I want this to do what I want it to do, but I feel like the more complicated things get, the more opportunities you have to screw them up. And when you start getting too many wires on a switch, it just starts to get a little tight and a little bit hinky. And so I felt like this was the cleanest schematic, the easiest schematic, and the most straightforward schematic. And I was not wrong. There's only one jumper on here, and it's on the push-pull pot. The tabs on the lower part of the push-pull pot are a little small. I wish they'd been a little bigger. But I just found this particular version of the push-pull pot to be very simple and straightforward. I've worked with the CTS pots before, and I don't think I'm ready for them yet. They were a little confusing to me, and I wasn't exactly sure how everything worked together, and I had a really tough time getting them to do what I wanted them to do, quite frankly. This was a very straightforward procedure, and it came out exactly the way I wanted it to. So now I've got a neck humbucker that I can split. I've got a bridge humbucker that I can split. I can put both of them in a middle position with the single coil, so I can either have full humbucker or split with the middle pickup. It's a lot of tones. It's a lot of choices all of a sudden. and it'll be great for layering things together and for getting things, for building loops and stuff like that. While I was in there, I moved the ground wire on the Tremolo so that it's in the right place. Now, if I decide I'm just going to deck the trem, I can do that, and I don't have to futz around with that wire anymore. I'm still not 100% sure. I kind of like the trem, but it gives you a lot of tuning instability, so I don't know if it's worth it. But that's the thing, I can change it whenever I want to, so that's nice. Let's give a listen to how it ended up. That's not too bad for a guitar that's coming in at under $180. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether you should just spend the extra money, get a more expensive guitar that's got the mods you already want on it, or whether you should do it yourself. And you should do what's right for you. But here's the thing. First of all, sometimes it's just easier to buy the guitar you can afford now, and then in 6 months, when you've got a little money saved up, you can do the upgrades then, but you still have all that time that you can play the guitar and get to know the guitar and better figure out what you would use, what you wouldn't use, what you like and what you don't like. Also, once you know how to do the mods, then you're kind of free to do whatever you want. You can swap out the pickups that you swap this out with. If you don't want PAFs and you want to go with something a little more higher output, you can do that. If you want to go P90s, you can do that. If you want to do gold foils, some combination therein. Also, like I said, 5-way switch and a push-pull pot, you have a lot. You can do, You can make it so that it splits automatically. You can make it so that you have series versus parallel. You can do things with phasing. There's a lot of options once you know how things work and you learn how to read a schematic, which is super simple. You have a lot of freedom. And as we know, knowledge is a wrapper, but also knowledge is power. And so once you learn how to do it, you can do whatever you want, man. So that's my 2 cents. Look, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to do a couple more things to this. Tune in next week if you want to see how it goes. I'm doing okay. I hope you're doing okay. It's still pretty crazy out there. Winter's coming. Good time to stay inside and play a lot of guitar. I hope if you're watching this when I made it, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. I hope your family's doing well. I hope you're being nice to people. I hope you're being kind to people. I hope everything's going okay. If you like this video, please subscribe, please like, please share. You can friend me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. My name is Spencer. This has been Learning Curve. I'll see you next week.